Welcome to the first episode of our Wyckoff crypto discussion. I am Alessio Rutiliano, and as usual in this session we will review the crypto market through the lens of the Wyckoff method. First of all, thank you everyone for your comments, likes and shares. And if you have any question, any trading idea, feel free to leave a comment below. This information is for educational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation. Please stop the video and read the disclaimer. As usual, our guest today is Roman Bogomazov. Roman, are you ready for another discussion?
Yes, looking forward to this very interesting day in the market. So, very interested to hear your views, Alessio.
So let's start with a quick review of the context of the market. Here we see the Nasdaq index. What do we see on this chart? Speculation on the way up in August. Then urgent selling in early September produces a first aggressive leg to the downside. Buyers comes in around the level of the support of the channel, but we see no lift. What happened next? In the last week, we are seeing shortening of the trust to the downside and the supply signature is decreasing. Look at the small spreads of the down bars. We see also a lot of demand tails there. And every time we are in a correction, diminishing down spreads and volume suggests that supply is at least temporarily exhausted. But is this the end of the correction? This is one half of the story. The other half is all about demand. So now we want to see what kind of demand is present in the market. We need buyers to show up and reveal their strength. And Wyckoffans always look for signs of confirmation. So if buyers comes in, we need to commit above specific resistance levels. In this case, the first level to overcome is the top of the last significant down bar, the line highlighted in green. So until buyers are not able to overcome this very important resistance, we need to pay attention to the chart. On intraday, however, today's price action is very, very interesting, and I think that Roman wants to show his thoughts.
Well, why don't we just do something unusual today really quickly? So I'm going to show you the Nasdaq on the intraday. So what's happening here and what's interesting is that when you look at this whole decline, is that, as Alessa have mentioned, shortening of the thrust where the second low is actually a slightly higher low on Nasdaq and kind of the same low for the S&P. And as you could see, what is going on here is that this latest 3 hours have substantial volume behind it. So there is definitely some buying that we see in that volume signature. We also see some buying in this area right here. So they were already buying some value days before, and that's why technology started to slightly outperform S&P. And it acts as a change of character. This behavior right here, on the background of the conditions that we have that are oversold, that are diminishing thrust to the downside, that are diminishing, we're seeing diminishing selling characteristics as well in the volume signature. So I'm thinking that possible low has been made for this reaction since the September 2nd. And the key right now is going to be all about what kind of rally we're going to have. Are we going to overcome this high? And it would be very bullish if we do. We don't have to overcome it by a lot. Just overcome that and then create a reaction that is going to be a smaller reaction than anything preceding before, hold, and then go up. And that would act as the final confirmation that finally we have made this reversal. But today's price action, Alessio, is very, very constructive.
And we are seeing also some sign of outperformance in the crypto market too. So that's a very interesting news when we see bullish price action in speculative markets too.
Yes, agreed. By the way, you were talking about how supply has diminished here on the daily and how demand started to increase. So we see that in this last 2 days off the bottom, this is where technology started to outperform. We see that demand is starting to come in, and as we are recording this video, the volume signature is actually already at this level. So this session is going to be crucial. On the volume is going to go up, and if we hold a more bullish stand here, we probably would be saying that this is a test of this low right here and potential to overcome this 11,200 line. All right, so what's next?
Let's go with silver. So another chart of interest for us is silver. Why silver? Well, silver, gold, and other commodities, including Bitcoin, are inversely correlated with the dollar. And in the last week, we have seen some temporary strength in the dollar. And Bruce and Roman have discussed many times that the sign of strength that we have seen in the commodities in the last months could be the beginning on a very long-term trend. So what's happened this week? Is this scenario still in play? On the weekly chart, the correction looks very, very deep. But when we go to the daily time frame, we notice that we are still in line with the scenario of a sign of strength followed by a deep backing up action. It will be very, very important to see how price react to the level highlighted in yellow. It's not uncommon to see this kind of deep retracement on the backing up action in the commodities, low cap stocks, and cryptocurrency. So I think this pattern is very, very important for crypto traders. What do you think about this, Roman?
Yeah, I love your analysis here. I love the labeling too. So the key here is the volatility that we have off the top. So volatility has increased throughout this reaction. But if we would look in more details, we would see that initial selling has come off the top. That created a change of behavior that suggested a trading range environment where we're in there, and then diminishing demand characteristics could not lift the price up. That suggested a reaction. Reaction comes, as you've noticed here, Alessio is pointing this, to the breakout bars where they were buying aggressively. So there is some value at this point, and we would be expecting that there would be some pickup of shares here. And we see that a pickup of shares in the volume increase and also in the diminished spread characteristics. So I think that for now, maybe that volatility is done, and the most constructive action here is just going to be trying to rally and stay within the boundaries of this trading range. We don't necessarily have to make the new high here. We just need to test, go through a series of tests, consolidate, and then at some point start breaking out. And this breakout would act as the next confirmation. And it's interesting, Alessio, that you've mentioned that silver pattern right now reminds you a lot of how a lot of cryptocurrencies move, in that aggressive way. All right, let's go to Bitcoin. So, what's the main idea here, Alessio?
We have a reversal bar today. This is very interesting because we are still in line with the channel. We just had a big shakeout. Volatility has contracted. We had some overcoming of the local resistance. Price failed, but we are still in line with a possible reaccumulation. And this is very, very important. So we can even start thinking to label this local range that we see here. It may be that this is phase C of a local reaccumulation, still in line with the uptrend. So what do you think, Roman?
Yeah, I like this analysis as well. We are in the upsloping structure. That makes sense, because we've seen that the start of the change behavior comes after the climactic action that defines the boundaries of the range. Then we have higher highs, higher lows. So therefore, an upsloping structure. And I would say that, Alessio's idea here of the mini structure is really appealing. So we're probably seeing phase A here somewhere, phase C, and now is the reversal. Yeah, potential attempt to overcome the medium of this channel, overcoming this high. That would be highly attractive. And obviously on this latest price action, we have two bars that are important to overcome on the upside. This bar right here that has some selling, and it's smaller than this one. So these two bars are going to be crucial for us, to observe in the way how the price recovers. All right, let's look at the whole market of the crypto.
We see that Bitcoin is outperforming, but the message of this overall look at the crypto market is we want to see now some kind of rotation into small caps, into low caps, into the exchange token index, for example, that is showing quite a lot of strength right there. So I think it's very important to keep an eye on the whole crypto market and see if the strength will be present in the next days. What are your thoughts on this chart, Roman?
Well, I love always how you put them all together, because it just gives you such a great perspective of where the market is. And please note this local formations, local structures that come again after the stopping action, after the decline. So we have some kind of climactic action, automatic rally, secondary test, phase A. And then what's important, what comes after that, is that the price actually stayed above the resistance in all of the cases, which is a structural sign of strength. And then as we go down, look at what happens with the volume signature and with the price. The volume is increasing, but we're only marginally making a progress to the downside. So that's a shortening of the thrust. This action right here looks like a local to this decline climactic action, and we still have a little bit of the weakness, but supply is diminishing, and it's present on basically all of the charts when we look at the supply signature, which is great. Not making a lot of progress to the downside, and supply is diminishing. So this shows exhaustion of the supply and suggests a rally. So now the key to this whole thing is what kind of rally are we going to have? Are we going to have a rally that is going to come back to the resistance? And obviously with the Bitcoin, we would be expecting maybe even a touch over higher resistance here. Alessio, let me ask you this question. Just based on this look of the four assets that we see here, what is your favorite right now, just based on the comparative analysis? I know that you've mentioned the Bitcoin, but it looks to me like the exchange also was looking somewhat attractive, just being in the middle of the trading range. What are your thoughts on what will outperform on this rally?
Yes, the exchange token has a lot of strength. Also, if you go to the daily chart, you can see there's a lot of comparative strength. So I think it will be an outperformer. And we have in the next slides, we have an important asset of this category. So this is Polkadot. So this is not part of the exchange class. This is a DeFi token. But let's look at this beautiful structure that we have. It's very tradable. We are possibly in phase C of this beautiful horizontal range. We see a lot of strength in phase B because price is staying above the level of resistance for a long time, and we don't see a lot of volume there. This is very, very important because there's not a lot of selling activity on the top. Now price falls to the bottom, makes an LPS, and it's ready to go up. So this is even, let's say, a very tradable setup that we have right here. And we just want to see some kind of confirmation, but we already have a confirmation right here. What do you think, Roman?
Yeah, I would say that, whenever you are facing, this question is, are we done with the decline? Look to where the price comes relative to the previous low. Look for the local stopping action, which will be characterized in the spread and in the volume signature. Look maybe for some mini structures around this area, and how the volume signature behaves around this. And as Alessio has said, look for some signs of confirmation. So this rally, this most recent rally today, acts as that confirmation, at least for now. So yeah, what's not to like? I really like this Polkadot. So thank you, Alessio, for going through this analysis. All right.
This is OKEx coin. This is the exchange class that we were talking about, and we see a lot of strength in this pattern, a lot of comparative strength. Now we are just in the baking up action of this downsloping consolidation, and we don't see a lot of supply. Supply signature is quite low. So this could be a nice point of entry for us.
Yes, very interesting structure. So we have a prolonged trading range, which has this down slope and structure into phase C spring and the test. And then look at this beautiful sign of strength. There are all of the characteristics that we are looking for in the sign of strength. And that is increasing spread on the breakout, and then a stop in action in itself, and then a local trading range, again, shortening of the thrust, local phase C, and then we are absorbing on the way up. I really like this area here, Alessia. It just basically was such a clue that, you know, this is going to be an attempt to push the price up. Why? Well, because there is a lot of volume increase, which suggests that there is some buying on the background of the price not making a significantly lower low. We are struggling to make that lower low. And your comment about, you know, diminishing supply characteristics here, I think, is right on the money. Right?
This is Wi-Fi, and as we have seen before, low caps, the defined index are underperforming here, but still we see constructing sign. This is a huge trading range, and if we just see some kind of overcoming of the resistance, local low or local high right here, that could be a nice point of entry to the long side. And also look at the last reaction that we have seen. The down spreads are really small, and the supply signature is decreasing. So I think this is a very constructive sign. What do you think, Roman?
Yes, I like your last comment about the supply and how we see the supply in the spread. So just looking at this reaction and comparing it to this part of the reaction, we definitely see in diminished volatility signatures, and then just, you know, overall volume and supply signature goes down. So as you said, the key is going to be in this mini structure, how the price is going to react. Would it go up? Would it confirm? And if it does, then we should be expecting a rally at least to, you know, the highs of the resistance.
And this is a beautiful outperform of the crypto market in this momentum. Just look at Celsius right now. We see a huge consolidation from July, and now price is consolidating at look at the decreasing supply volume. Supply is decreasing just on the top. And this could be another point of interest for us. So the first thing that we have to do with this chart is let's go to the pointed figure chart. And let's see what kind of targets we have. And this chart is very, very important because first of all, we can see that the sign of strength is confirmed by this local accumulation structure that we see highlighted in blue. We are still in line with the uptrend. This is very important because this could be a very low risk opportunity. But what kind of target we have for this asset? Generally, with the crypto charts, I love to go to hourly chart count with the modified box size. In this case, it's 0.01, so very small. But I'm having a lot of success with this kind of scaling lately in the crypto markets. So what are your thoughts, Roman?
Yeah, well, let's start with the PNF here. First of all, just want to give kudos to Alessia for figuring out how to use the PNF on cryptos, just because the scaling is so weird and requires, you know, a thought And then just for your own purposes, when you look at the PNF, and again, Alessio could explain it more in his videos and his other videos. Look at the volume signature. I just love putting the volume signature on the PNF because it just basically shows you where the actual buying has happened, absorption has happened, and you kind of see that there's not a lot of volume signature in the current structure, which suggests that there is no sell-in here, which is perfect. And then looking at how PNF works. Does it work or it doesn't? Does it show us, those swing trades? And in this case, it does. So you know that the scaling is actually correct. And then the overall causality is just so big that we would be expecting, some kind of continuation from here. Another thought here, Alicia, and you probably will confirm this. I'm looking at the tails at the weeks and the way how the price basically, goes. And it seems to me that this is such a low liquidity asset. Am I correct on this?
Yes, it's very low liquidity.
Yeah. So you kind of could see, guys, from those tails in the way how it moves, that it's a liquid asset, but obviously what's a liquid and, what moves is going to move, very, very fast. And we could see this. I'm still kind of at awe, Alessio, to be frank, with all of the moves that crypto market is providing to us. Obviously stock market has been, and all of the assets have been very volatile, but the crypto is just like mind-boggling. All right,
So
what do we have next?
homework for our students, please count the whole causality of the previous chart. It will be very, very interesting.
What a great idea. And also, Alessio, we divided it into 2 segments. So you could just, segment that count. Oh, actually, even 3. So, yeah, but this is a really great assignment. Are we going to return to this maybe next week?
Yeah.
To give them the solution? Okay, great.
This is the Unitswap, and it's very interesting structure because this is very new token that has been introduced lately in the market. We see this huge momentum move, just a 10-bagger in a couple of days. And now price is showing inability to go down. I think it's very, very constructive. We have to see some kind of commitment about the resistance. But I like the way we are moving right now. And the supply signature is quite high, but we are still holding at that level. And now we are in an apex, kind of apex formation that could break to the upside. Very interesting.
Yeah, kind of on the conventional technical analysis, you just have this round information with the cup, and usually when those break out, the price continues to go up. So our intermediate target is going to be somewhere here to overcome. And then I really like the way how decline has happened. First of all, it's happening into 1/2 of the previous move. Look at the volume signature, how it just stops the price from moving further down on somewhat of the climactic bars. And then there is a shortening of the thrust, downward thrust that is happening. So that defines the conditions for us to search for some kind of change of behavior. How would the change of behavior look like? Well, increase of the demand signature and then the rally that overcomes, certain commitment levels. So this was the last commitment level to the downside, and we see how the price was able to stay above it, and it still stays above it. So a bullish sign, and now into the apex on slightly diminished supply character, a breakout above this level now will be the next level of the commitment. So very interesting chart, Alicia. All right.
So Solana, very interesting price action, a big shakeout in the middle of this chart that is followed by a quick momentum move to the upside, and now volatility is decreasing. This is a very constructive pattern, I think. And look at that kind of apex formation that we are seeing lately in the last few days. Another breakout, that would be very, very constructive. What do you think, Roman?
Yeah, again, another interesting chart. I really like this time frame, 4 hours, for currencies in general and for cryptos too. It just gives you such a great way of looking at the structure. So thank you, Alessia, for bringing this up. I think this rally is very important, even though it happens in phase B. It kind of shows like mini sign of strength. It just suggests that there is some buying off the oversold condition. So we could expect some kind of accumulation pattern as we come into the higher low on what seems to be a threatening decline, but there is no really selling behind it. There is not a lot of supply that comes in. And then another higher low, which suggests inability of the price to push down and absorption at this local level. So I would be expecting here a rally, into the resistance cluster. So, Alessia, everything is looking so interesting and actionable, almost like now. So, we'll see. We'll have to see how that's going to unfold.
Yes, a very, very interesting day, and I love the idea that the reversal on speculative markets can announce some kind of low in the global markets as well. So very, very interesting.
Absolutely, and as we are finishing this recording, and I'm looking at the markets in general, and we're seeing this rally, intraday rally that is unfolding right now. Look at Russell as well, behaving really well on the intraday. The Dow is trying, to overcome it. We've talked about the Bitcoin confirming as well. And then metals as well are starting to behave in a way as if this is at least a local low. So a very interesting day to make this recording. And Alessio, thank you so much. That was a great way, to go through the markets.
Thank you very much.